There are many obstacles to healing, and I would like to discuss obstacles and the dynamics and fear that is brought to the surface. There are many things that create obstacles to healing oneself. It could be denial, it could be attachment, fear, or repeated exposure to trauma. Denial will keep a person protecting what is hurting them. Healing is often misunderstood because most people treat it as emotional recovery when it is actually a complete reordering of one's thought and memory and identity and spiritual authority. The greatest obstacle to healing is not pain itself. Pain announces that something happened. The true obstacle is what pain builds afterward. Most people do not suffer only from the wound, they suffer from the system the wound created. A betrayal can create suspicion. Humiliation can create an overachiever. Abandonment can create emotional overextension. You hold on too tight. Rejection can create the need for validation and acceptance and to belong, and you believe that you need to perform to show your worth. Violation will create hypervigilance, always having to look over your shoulder. And repeated disappointment can create emotional numbness. You no longer even expect anything else. The original event may be over, but the internal disruption it created continues ruling long after the danger has passed. And so healing can feel difficult. People are not merely trying to recover from an event, they're trying to dismantle an entire internal kingdom that was built around surviving. And that can cause someone to be familiar with dysfunction. See, the human mind can become loyal to what repeatedly hurts. It's simple because familiarity feels safer than what you don't know. What is repeated becomes normal. A chaotic home becomes love, emotional inconsistency becomes passion, and neglect becomes independence, and survival becomes your identity. People often defend the very thing they need deliverance from because the known pain feels safer than the unknown freedom. This is why some people leave harmful environments physically, but remain there mentally. Their body exited, but their expectations never did. Many people try to heal carrying guilt for protecting themselves, for seeking help. They feel guilty for boundaries, guilty for distance, guilty for silence, and guilty for refusing to let someone in. When the wounded person feels responsible for the comfort of the one who caused the wound, restoration becomes delayed. Not every apology is repentance, not every return is reconciliation, and not every emotional display of affection is transformation. Sometimes guilt is not the conscience, sometimes it is the conditioning. And oftentimes we develop emotional addiction to unfinished patterns. The mind dislikes incomplete stories, so it'll seek resolution. This is why people often return to what harmed them, not because they loved it, by no means, but because they wanted a different ending. They wanted to see if someone would acknowledge what was done. So they revisit old relationships hoping for repair. They repeat old patterns hoping for justice, and they chase unavailable people hoping to rewrite the old abandonment. But healing does not always come through resolution with others. Sometimes healing comes through accepting that closure will not arrive from the person who created the fracture. Sometimes peace is built without explanation. Some people have carried pain so long that pain became their personality. They do not know themselves outside of surviving. They know how to fight, how to endure, how to anticipate danger, and even how to read a room. But they do not know how to rest, how to receive, how to trust, or simply exist without defense. Healing then feels dangerous because peace feels unfamiliar. The person is not afraid of healing. They are afraid of becoming unrecognizable to themselves. Every repeated thought becomes a form of agreement. When you believe or say to yourself, I will always be abandoned, People always betray me. I must earn love, and nothing good ever stays. Repeated beliefs become internal laws. What begins as pain becomes a policy. And this is why healing requires more than emotional comfort. It requires legal reversal within the soul. The false agreements that you've said to yourself, you made with yourself, they must be broken. You cannot build peace on top of declarations made in despair. Bondage often begins with agreement before it appears in your experience. People ask why the same patterns repeat. Sometimes the answer is not external attacks. Sometimes the answer is what you say to yourself. Healing will begin when your internal laws, what you say to yourself, change. Healing is not becoming who you were before the womb. That person is gone. Healing is becoming someone wiser than the version of you that entered the fire. Transformed, awakened, rebuilt with understanding. This is why healing feels sacred. It's a sacred journey. It is not cosmetic improvement. That's not at all what I'm speaking of. It is reconstruction of your authority. You are not learning how to feel better. You are learning how to stop handing sacred territory to what was never sent to protect you. And your healing will terrify darkness. Because a healed person cannot be managed the same way. A healed person stops confusing permission with love. Stops confusing what is familiar with them as being safe, and stop confusing suffering and enduring with being loyal. A healed person becomes difficult to manipulate because truth has replaced emotional hunger. That is the real threat, not your pain, your recovery. Healing is not the removal of pain. It is the re-education of the soul. Most people think healing means feeling better. That is incomplete. Feeling better can happen temporarily. True healing is when pain no longer dictates decisions, relationships, identity, and spiritual perception. Healing is the movement from reaction to authority. It is the difference between surviving life and owning life. And this is why healing can also be quite difficult, because it's not simply emotional. It is psychological, yet spiritual, and then relational, and of course, intellectual. It touches the memory, the trust, the boundaries, the self-worth, and the hidden agreements a person made during seasons of suffering. Many people are not trapped by what happened to them. They are trapped by what they became to survive it. That is a true study of healing. The first dynamic of healing is awareness, and what remains unnamed will remain powerful. Call it out. Call it out by name. Many people are living inside patterns that they never examined, and they did not ask for, was uncalled for. They were mishandled and never believed, never allowed to use their voice to tell their story. So they call it personality when it is actually you adapting to the aftermath. You may call it loyalty when actually it's fear. You may call it patience when it's you being avoidant. And you may even call it love when it's actually emotional dependency. But your awareness and calling out is the first act of liberation. You cannot confront what you refuse to identify. Ancient wisdom across many traditions teaches that revelation always comes before restoration, and sight must come before rebuilding. That's why some seasons feel uncomfortable. You are not being punished, you are being shown. You are given sight to see with your mind's eye. Healing requires distance from what keeps reopening your wounds. A wound cannot close while the blade is still inside. And this applies to environments, conversations, emotional patterns, and even internal dialogue. Some people are asking for restoration while remaining daily with what damages them. That is not healing. That is negotiation with what destroys you. Sometimes the holiest act is distance. Not every departure is you being rebellious. Sometimes departure is wisdom. And many people delay healing because they are trying to heal without grieving. They want peace without mourning, freedom without acknowledgement, and closure without sorrow. But grief is not weakness. It is the honest burial of what will not return. You must grieve what should have been, the childhood that was missing, the love that was promised but never given, the friendship that was fake, phony, the apology that never came in, the years spent surviving instead of living. Unmourned pain often becomes repeated pain. What is not buried correctly keeps appearing at the door. Healing demands borders. People who are trained to overgive often confuse boundaries with cruelty. They believe permission or entry proves love, but it does not. A boundary is not punishment. It is the protection of your soul, which is sacred territory. Ancient cities were known by their gates because gates determined what entered and what remained outside. A life without boundaries is a city without gate. Without gates, everything enters and everything takes. Healing often begins when a person finally decides, not everyone deserves entry into my life, to touch my wounds, or even hear my story. Pain often creates false identities. And these are not truths, they are survival conclusions. Healing requires interrogation of every identity that was built in fear. Who are you without survival mode? Who are you without proving? Who are you without carrying everyone else? Many people fear healing because they fear meeting themselves without the wound, but that meeting is too sacred. Healing is not sustained by emotion. It is sustained by repeated decisions. Truth repeated, boundaries maintained, patterns interrupted, rest chosen, silence protected, and peace defended. People often want healing to arrive like lightning. Most often it arrives like daily obedience. Quiet, uncelebrated, yet consistent. Healing is not about returning to who you were before the pain. That person did not yet possess the wisdom the fire produced. Healing is becoming someone new, someone who carries memory without slavery to it. Not untouched, but untaken, not innocent, but wiser, not unscarred, but unruled. This is why healing threatens every force that benefited from your confusion, because a healed person becomes difficult to manipulate. They stop mistaking guilt for responsibility and chaos for passion, and being familiar or being family is your destiny. They choose differently, and different choices create different futures. That is the real miracle of healing. Not that the past disappears, but that it no longer decides who gets to enter your future. Healing is the sacred art of correcting what pain taught incorrectly. A wound does not only hurt you, a wound teaches you. It teaches you what to expect, what to fear, what to tolerate, and what to hide. What to over-explain, what to chase, and what to call love when love was never present. That is why healing is not emotional. Healing is instruction. Healing is excavation. Healing is the holy labor of removing false education from the soul. The mind-blowing revelation of many people are not loyal to the pain itself. They are loyal to the identity that pain gave them. The wound said, be useful so you will not be abandoned. The wound said, stay quiet so you will not be rejected. The wound says, overperform so you will be valued. The wound says, accept less, you will not be alone. And over time, those survival commands became mistaken for personality. And that is why healing can be frightening. You are not only leaving pain, you are leaving the version of self that pain trained. Real healing begins when you stop asking, why do I feel this? And begin asking, what did this experience train me to believe? That question may open a door for you. Because pain that is not examined becomes a private teacher. It sits inside memory and it gives instruction without permission. It tells you who to trust. It tells you when to run. It tells you what love looks like. It tells you what danger feels like. It tells you what you deserve. And until that teaching is corrected, a person can leave the painful place and still carry the painful law. And that is why some people escape the event but repeat the pattern. The body left, but the lesson remained. Many wounds survived through agreement, not spoken agreement, but internal agreement. I am too much. I'm hard to love. I must earn care. I must keep explaining. I must stay available to be accepted. And those statements become invisible contracts. Healing is the breaking of those contracts. And this is why boundaries are not optional. Boundaries are not attitude. Boundaries are not bitterness. Boundaries are spiritual administration of the soul. A boundary says this pain no longer has permission to keep teaching me. A boundary says this person may have known the wounded version of me, but they do not own the healed version of me. A boundary says my future will not be negotiated with what damaged my past. And that's where your restoration becomes powerful, because a healed person is not someone who forgets. A healed person is someone who no longer obeys the wound. The deepest stage of healing is not crying, talking, or even remembering. Those may be part of it, but the deepest stage is choosing differently when the old pattern returns wearing a familiar face. The same apology, the same emotional demand, the same guilt, the same invitation, the same person returning when your life begins to rise. Healing is proven when the old door opens and you no longer walk through it. That is the revelation you need to get. Healing is not when pain disappears. Healing is when pain loses authority over your choices. Thank you for visiting my channel, and may your soul be blessed. Stay covered, stay conscious, and stay undefeated. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.